I think I might start that hat. Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristen. I'm the maker behind this little corner of the internet, DoSo Knits here on YouTube, where I share with you how knitting and other fiber crafts have woven into my life. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back to spend another episode with me. Today is episode 68 of my podcast, where I share with you different projects I'm working on, finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions, all of that kind of fibery goodness. It is pretty early here on this Sunday morning. It is time change morning, so that's always fun. I'm drinking a cup of coffee in a handmade ceramic mug, so I hope you have something cozy to drink, and I'm excited to chat with you guys today. I've had some things happen over the last couple weeks, so I try to record these every 2 weeks or so, and I believe I'm 2 weeks since my last episode. I'm a couple days behind because the weekend was just very busy and I needed to get caught up on a few things, because about 10 days ago I sprained my ankle pretty badly. We've been rock climbing since the beginning of the year, and I usually do top rope, which is where you have someone at the bottom holding the rope and there's a rope, so if you slip or fall, the rope kind of catches you, and that's the one where you climb up usually a lot higher. But I went about a week and a half ago with some coworkers, and they boulder. They do not top rope. So bouldering is the one where it's a lot shorter. It's the one where there's no rope. You're a lot closer to the ground, but there's no rope or anything to catch you. So you usually jump down or you climb back down the wall once you finish a climb. So I went with some coworkers for the first time bouldering, and I got to the end of a route, which means I made it to the end. And my mentality of like top rope, whereas like if I reach for something and I can't quite make it, and if I slip, I'll get caught. Kind of had that mentality bouldering. So I reached for the last hold, grabbed it, reached the end, but couldn't latch on essentially. So then I slipped and I fell on my ankle, and it instantly got very inflamed, very swollen. Couldn't put a lot of weight on it. I couldn't drive home, so Shane had to come drive me home. Ended up going to the ER. They took some x-rays. They concluded that it's a very bad sprain, might have a hairline fracture, but with the amount of swelling, they couldn't tell. So I've been pretty much stuck at home with a very tender, less swollen foot now. But that means I've had a lot of knitting time over the last 2 weeks, because I can't really get up and get out to walk around very much. So that's kind of been my 2 weeks. A good portion of it has been with a very sprained ankle. I do have a follow-up with an orthopedic this week, so hopefully they can get some more conclusive imaging done to determine if it is or is not fractured. I don't think it's fractured, just because I am still in a lot of pain, but I don't think it's fracture pain. I don't really know. But then maybe some physical therapy to get my ankle back up and going, and hopefully I'll be a little more mobile soon. I did end up getting like a boot, so I haven't been able to drive. It's been a lot of fun. And fun is a hypothetical. It's been quite painful. It's still pretty painful. But anyway, that leads me to yesterday. I have a good amount of projects to show you. And the reason I took an extra day is because yesterday, all of my projects that I'm kind of working on kind of got to a point where they needed a block. Things are either soaking to finish, to lay out, or I needed to block something in order to go to the next part. So I kind of took the day yesterday to kind of get those ducks in a row, spent some time blocking. And so now I'm here today so I can show you some of this progress. I feel like I have a ton of progress for the last 2 weeks. So Before we dive in, just want to do the admin at the beginning. If you'd like to follow me other places, I'm DoSo Knits here on YouTube, Instagram, and Ravelry. And then all of the show notes are linked down below. I link to my Ravelry project pages, and I link to any additional things that I talk about that are not in a Ravelry project page. It's all down there. Also linked down there is my Ko-Fi account and my D-Stash page. And if you look behind me, some of these shelves might look a little emptier. That's because I have added a lot of things to my Ravelry D-Stash. So if you're interested, feel free to go check that out. All those links are down below. So we'll just dive right in. Ebony is right here in front of me, which means reaching for my notes is a little difficult, but she has settled in. But I hope you have something cozy to drink. As I mentioned, I'm drinking my coffee. I hope you have something to work on, and let's get into the things that I've finished since the last episode. Alright, so the first thing I have finished is my Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. This is my 5th Musselburgh that I have finished, and I love this. So this is knit in Spin Cycle Nocturne, the color Snakeskin. I used a US 4 millimeter or a US 4 hook, 3.5 millimeters, and my gauge was 6 stitches per inch after blocking. And I used all of my 2 skeins of snakeskin. I had the leftovers somewhere to show you. Oh, here they are. This is the label, and this is all of the yarn that I have left. So the way that I knit this hat is I cast on, and I knit until it was time to do my color change. I split spliced my skeins together, continued knitting, and I just literally measured from the crown to where I changed skeins, and then knit that same amount, and then I started my decreases. I want to say, I don't exactly remember, I need to get some exact measurements, and maybe I'll try to put them on the screen here. I want to say it was about 8.5 to the center, not including the crown, and I really like the length of this Musselburgh. So let me put it back together. Sometimes just the getting it together is the hardest part. So it's really nice and slouchy. I think the color changes look really, really nice. And it's a good amount of slouch. It's still pretty snug. I knit the adult medium size. But what I like about this length is I do feel like I have the ability to do a nice folded brim and still have a little bit of slouch at the top. So I'm very excited about this hat. I think it fits really nicely. And this was such a joy to knit. I used 92 grams total because the Spin Cycle skeins they're not necessarily weighed. Like most skeins you see will be like 100 grams. And then an estimated yardage. I'm pretty sure the way Spin Cycle does their yarn is they do it by yardage because it just says 200 yards. And I think they do that because it can be thick and thin. So I think they always make sure you get at least 200 yards in their skeins versus the grams used. That's what I can conclude considering they don't put grams on this. And when you put it in Ravelry, when you type grams in, it doesn't auto-calculate. So that's what I think happens. If I'm wrong, let me know because I'd be interested to know. But it ended up being 92 grams total. I used up basically all of the yarn and 2 skeins, and I love this hat. I knit it for the Spinberg KAL, which ended at the end of February, and I finished it before that, and I meant to enter it in for that, but then I forgot. So that's kind of disappointing because I had some really good prizes, but I am glad that I was able to, get this done. It was on my needles for 30 some days. I didn't put in exactly the day that I finished because I wasn't on it, and I don't exactly remember, so it was somewhere in the 30-day range, and this was just perfect for meetings, for car knitting. It came together so quickly. I think the sport weight is a really nice weight. It's very comparable to the fingering weight ones that I've done, but and it's up really fast since I used a US 4. So I really enjoyed that. One thing that I did end up doing is when you go to weave in the ends at the top, you kind of have to like stick it into the fabric of your hat and kind of like on the inside to weave it in, because obviously you're doing decreases and then your ending string is on the outside. So you kind of do this, like she mentions using like a sharp needle and to go into the inside of the hat and just try to like weave it in. It doesn't have to be great, but just decently. And a couple times when I've done this, I will accidentally, as I'm weaving in on like this side of the hat, I'll accidentally grab a stitch from like this side. So then my hat can't pull apart and it's like stuck. So I ended up doing that on this one, and I could not. Usually I can kind of like unwork it out to try to undo that other side and then continue weaving in. I could not figure it out this time. I could like not get it unpicked, and I was like, maybe I've just like split something weird. So I ended up like pulling the tail through, was really trying to pull it out, could not figure it out. So I was like, okay, I think it's good enough. I'm gonna snip the end. Snipped it. It was not the end. I ended up unraveling like 10 stitches, and I was just like, I just had this giant hole. And I already done the decreases, and it was pretty close to the end of the decreases, and I just kind of looked at it and I was like, what in the world am I going to do? So since I had the hole, I found the other end, was able to like unpick it, then wove that in. And so then what I ended up doing is I didn't unravel it, ended up doing duplicate stitch to weave it back together. So I was able to find the end and kind of do the retrace where the stitches were going to be, wove both those ends in, and then it wasn't the greatest like grafting that I did, so then I duplicate stitched over where I had kind of fixed it back together. And honestly, I can't even find where that happened now. So I think all in all, that means I did a decent job. Oh, it's right here. You can just see how these stitches right here aren't perfect. But you can't really tell. So that was a nice learning experience. However, a little bit of an annoying one. But I do really love this hat. I think it looks so cute. And our cool days are numbered, but I still think I'll be able to wear this a few times. So I love it. I may just keep it on for the rest of the episode because I'm not having the greatest of hair days. So maybe we'll leave it on. I really like it. This is my 5th Musselburgh, like I've said, and I do have plans to make another. I have 2 more skeins of Nocturne that I had my friend pick up. This is the color Evil Eye, so it's like a really dark blue with some fun colors in it. And I plan to make the same kind of Musselburgh like this, but this one will be for my husband, Shane. So that is kind of my next Musselburgh that I want to get started. I am feeling a little like I don't have a real stockinette easy on the go project right now, and I've kind of been debating what I want to start. So maybe this would be a nice one to start. Maybe I'll leave those out and we'll see how we go. But yeah, that is my first finished object, my Musselburgh out of Spin Cycle. So then I have another finished object, and this one is new to you. This is Logan the Moose by Carrie Lord. It is a Toft UK kit. Here he is. So this is a Toft kit that I ended up picking up. So all of the yarns and everything were included, the pattern, everything. So this is Logan the Moose. And yeah, this took me about 8 days to make. Really only like 2.5 days of actually working on him. He's so cute. If you do not know, moose are my favorite animal. So this was a kit I knew I wanted to start. So you make the little body, you have arms and legs, you make little ears in his antlers. The antlers had so many ends because every time you split, so like you split here and then you split here, so end, 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 and then you split, end, end, split there, and then end, end, end. There were like 10 ends per little antler. Was able to get it together, stitched his little eyes on, stuffed him with wool stuffing that came with the kit, and he's done. This was such a fun knit or kit crochet to make. I got inspired to start this because of the Needles at the Ready kit along that they're hosting, so I need to get a photo of him and get that submitted. But he's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, and I'm glad that I've been able to get it done. The natural body of the Toft kits are pretty easy. The legs and the body is always the same. The head can be different shaped based on the animal. And then extra accoutrement, like the antlers are different this time. We have little like, these little beard hairs. The ears can be different, the tails. So those things can all be different, but that's what makes your animal your animal. So then they sit and they got their cute little belly. He's a little heavy, his head, but he's really cute. I have no like wire or anything in him. It was all with the Toft DK yarn, so that's what makes this size. And it was the color, I'm not exactly sure, they're on the Ravelry project page because it's the ones that came with the kit. I really want to make a bigger moose. I want to go grab some like bulky yarn in similar colors because I want to make a really big moose, because you can use the same pattern but then change your yarn size and your crochet hook size to make a bigger moose. And so that's one of my plans. But I love him. This was such like a fun, quick project to work on. And I love him. So this is, I don't have much to say. It's written really well. The Toft kits are always such a blast. The hardest thing is always just the assembly. I think it's always hard to figure out where to put the ears and things on the head to make it look normal. But I think I did pretty okay. Also, I definitely, his tail is off center. But that's okay. I think he's really cute. And we're just gonna pop him right there. You're not gonna be able to see him completely, but have him on my little shelf. Here, let me show you. There you go. There he is. Maybe we'll say like that so you can see him. No, I feel off center. Alright, so yeah, that's my second finished object, Logan the Moose. So then I have one more finished object, and these are my finished socks. So these are what I'm calling my National Emo Day Socks, because that is the color of the yarn. So it's Desert Vista Dye Works Viso base, the 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, colorway National Emo Day. And then I did a contrast 1x1 cuff in charcoal and a shadow wrap heel in charcoal. So last time I was about here, and I just switched to like doing the leg. These were my meeting socks over the last couple weeks. So I'm actually really impressed with how much I was able to get done. I also took them to the movies because we went and saw Dune Part 2. So that was also something that kept me company. So overall, they're 60 stitch socks. I used a US 0. I did a 1x1 rib and then a shadow wrap heel. And then I didn't do a contrast toe, I just continued in the striping. And I think they look really, really nice. These are for my husband Shane. Overall, I used 65 grams of yarn. So it's one skein out of my stash and 65 grams used. So then the rest of my Desert Vista Dye Works yarn, I've been working on a scrappy corner to corner blanket with my Desert Vista Dye Works leftovers. So those will be going into that basket to get worked into that blanket. But I think I had mentioned last time how I wasn't sure about if I was going to continue to the Desert Vista Dye Works knit along. And I think I started these in February, finished them in March, so they couldn't count for the knit along. They were on my needles for 19 days, and like I said, they ended up being a lot of meeting socks. It's because I ended up focusing on this hat to finish before the end of the month and not the socks. And I wasn't really close to finishing these for the end of the month, honestly. So I think I'm going to start working on my sock yarn in a way that brings me joy, because that's what I was mentioning. This was my one stockinette project that was on the needles. It was great for meetings and on the go. And I finished these and I don't have another pair of socks or something with simple stockinette on the needles. So that is one of my plans today, is to either start another Musselburgh with that yarn that I had showed, or to start a pair of socks, because I need something for when I have meetings, because it keeps me focused but keeps my hands busy, because otherwise email is always there to check. So I really love the colors of these, and these are for Shane, and he'll be happy to have another pair of socks in his arsenal. And I put them on my Bryce Spun sock blockers, which are also linked down below where I got them from. But yeah, I love these. I think the colorway is so fun. This was one I bought them because I loved this colorway knit up. And sometimes I buy yarn from Desert Vista Dye Works based on like the theme, but this one was definitely I love how these look. So I'm happy these are done. I really love socks. Socks are just so nice to always have, and they grow so quickly. So yeah, that was another skein out of my stash, 65 grams, and they were on my needles for 19 days. So those are all my finished objects. We can move on to what I've been working on. So as far as works in progress, I've really narrowed down my focus, which is kind of nice. But I am feeling yesterday, when I was kind of in between as things were blocking and wanting to get things done, I did have this like urge of castonitis. But I think that's why I want to either start another pair of socks or a Musselburgh today. So then that way I have something easy and more long-term to pick up on my needles if I do get to this weird blocking scenario that I was kind of in yesterday. So the first thing that I've made decent progress on, and this was blocking yesterday, is my Traveler hoodie, which is the Traveler by Andrea Mowry. I am knitting the size 3 here, but going to end up with about a 49.5 inch size. And yesterday I ended up blocking this. So this is where I'm at. So the reason I ended up blocking this is because the stitch pattern grows, because you have this stockinette and then reverse stockinette stitching. And so before blocking, I was at about 8.5 inches. And I had done the math with my swatch of, my swatch was this big and then it grew to be this big, and I kind of talked about the math last time. But I wanted to make sure that my math was going to translate to my actual sweater, making sure like that my swatch was accurate. You know, people say that your swatch can lie, and I didn't want to not block this and then it be too short. So I ended up soaking this, blocking it. I put it on my barber cords here, took it off my needles, left the stitch markers on because I'm not going to replace those, soaked it. I spin it out in my dryer, not in my dryer, spin it out in my washing machine because I have a top load that doesn't have a thing in the middle, so I can spin things out pretty quickly. It gets them a lot of the water out, and I laid it out to dry. And I did block it out because when I was laying it flat, it was still scrunching. And so I know this is one I'm going to stretch whenever I block it. And from the 8.5 pre-blocking, it became 10 inches after blocking, which is what I anticipated, so my swatch did not lie. It still looks really short, but this is the bottom part, and it is a drop shoulder, and the drop shoulders I'm aiming for are going to be 9 inches plus 2 more inches for the shoulder shaping to end up getting a 21-inch finished height of my garment. So since this is now dry and it's at the length that I anticipated, I will now begin shaping the front and back. I want to say shoulders, but it's not shoulders. It's like the sleeve shaping. The yoke, since it's a drop shoulder, you usually work your front piece This sweater is actually a good example. You usually work at like your front piece and your back piece and you join here, and then from there, this is the bottom. So I'm doing the front piece of my sweater next. So it's kind of nice because I already have it on my barber cord. I stopped at the end of a round to make sure this would be easy for me. So I'll probably just put the front stitches back on my needle and leave the back stitches on my barber cord because that's what it kind of mentions to do. I'm working this on a US 5 and the ribbing was on a US 3. This yarn is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the sport weight in the color Midnight Heather. So, also these skeins together look very sad, but this is the color. It didn't wind very nicely. And the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes do come in these little pre-done skeins, but I've just been rewinding them into a cake. I think so far, let's see how many skeins I'm in. These are my little notions bags that I make for all my projects. I have a needle, like a tapestry needle, scissors, tape measure, stitch markers, and all of them. And then I usually will put my ball band. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skeins right now. So, and I usually wind 2 together. So skein 4 and 5 are in here. So I've got pretty decent yardage. The wool of the Andes is a 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and it's one of my go-to sweater yarns. It blocked out so soft, and it's so nice. So this was something I had to stop yesterday to soak it and block it, and I was just like, I just want to keep working. But I know, like, if it ended up being half an inch too short, it'd be a pain to go back and fix later. So it's worth it to take the break, block it, make sure it's gonna work out exactly how I need it. And what I've been using to measure the length is my twice sheared sheep work until marker. So this has been my beginning of the round marker, and you can set it to, so you can, it's got a marker right there, and you can set it to where you want it to go. So I set it to 8.5, and then I could just measure it as I would go. I will say this does not always, I do not have luck with this thing not moving, but I can just slide it back. And it's really nice because I think when I was about 6 inches, I was like, oh, I'm so close. And I was not close at all. So this is kind of nice because every time you kind of get to the beginning of the round, you can kind of look at it and you can be like, not even close at all. But it kind of gives you a nice eyeball of where to work to. So I'll be using this still with my sleeves because those, let's see, I want them to be 9 inches tall. So for my sleeves, I'm going to work to 7 3/4 pre-blocking. And I will probably, will I do the same thing? I probably won't like block my sleeves before like moving on to the shoulder shaping. I'll probably end up finishing the whole thing, and maybe I'll block it again before I pick up for my sleeves because I'll want that length set and then I can work on my sleeves. So that'll probably be the next time I block this. So I have a good amount of work to do. I do think once I split for the front and back, because this is a knit purl texture, it's not like the front and back is going to feel much different in the aspect of like, oh, now I have to purl or now I have to work flat. But I think it'll feel faster because the rows are going to be in half. I have about 250 some stitches on my needles, and so I'll be working like 120 instead. So that'll feel a lot faster. And yeah, that's my traveler hoodie. I'm really, really enjoying it. I think I am going to do the hood. I know a lot of you guys commented last time saying to do the hood, and I appreciate that. And I think I am going to do the hood. I think that's what I want. So I'm excited to have that. I think it's going to be a nice spring garment. Something that when the mornings are a little chilly or the evenings are a little chilly, I can just throw it on. It'll be something really comfortable, which is something I don't think I have a lot in my knitwear. I mean, my knits are comfortable, but they can feel a little more put together versus, I don't know what I'm saying. I feel like this one's going to be a nice, easy go-to kind of sweatshirt. So yeah, that's my traveler hoodie. Oh, and my traveler hoodie has been on my needles for 31 days, or about 4 weeks so far. All right, so the next project that I have to update you on is in a new project bag from Stolen Minutes. This is the large project bag. They had a shop update with this print, and I love it. It's a whale and a squid. And I know the squid is maybe supposed to be like attacking the whale. However, I think that's kind of sad. So I'm seeing it as the squid and the whale are friends. And the squid is just like hugging the whale. And they're going on a swim together. So this is my new project bag. It's perfect for sweaters. And so this is my Eastwind jacket, which is a pattern by Emily Foden. I've been working on this for 68 days, or about 9 weeks so far. So I don't have everything to show you because this is also part of my blocking party. So this jacket is knit in pieces. So you have a front piece, front left and a front right, and a back right and a back left. And then you assemble and then knit the sleeves. So I have finished both the front pieces and they are blocking. So I have a photo of like a pre-block and a photo of it currently blocking. It's not post-blocking, to kind of show what they look like. I'm very excited about this. I think it's going to fit really nicely, but I have now started working on the back pieces. So let me get this nice and organized, and this is what it looks like. So as you can kind of tell by their space here, you knit these separately. We're actually supposed to knit them, like knit the back right and then the back left. But I decided to knit these 2 at a time because the idea of knitting one and then the other didn't sound fun. And I know sometimes like the yarn management can feel a little crazy, but I feel like I've just developed a system. So I cast this on yesterday, cast on. It's basically the same as the front pieces, except I won't split for a pocket. And then there's a cable band here, and then the cable band on the other piece, continue to the edging. So this is kind of what the back looks like. As you can see, I've connected these here with the stitch marker. I believe this was a tip from Knit Together with Kim and Jonna, because since they're not connected, one can be really far down when you finish one to then start the other. And this just keeps them together, so then you don't have to do as much sliding. And it's been very nice. So in my project bag, what I have going on is I have a separate bag. This is one of my Retro Zaria bags. And I have like one side. So this pattern I use West Yorkshire Spinners Jacob's DK with a mohair held together. So both of them are in this bag. And that's for this side. And then in my project bag are the other two. So then that way they kind of stay separate. If I need to like untangle them, I can do it pretty easily by moving this bag around. And so usually when I've started working on this, I'll just take this bag out, and it's been keeping everything pretty mess free. I just found my other point protector, so that's nice. And yeah, I'm feeling very good about working these 2 at a time. I think when I get to the sleeves, because you cast on some stitches for the drop sleeve kind of thing, then the rounds might feel really long. But what'll be nice about this is when I finish these pieces, like it'll be like I will block these and then it'll be time to assemble. It won't be like finishing one piece and then being like, oh, I have one more piece to go. And I don't feel like it's taking too long. I think what's still nice is you kind of work across and then you kind of drop, pick up the next one, you work across. I've been enjoying it. That's all I can say. So yeah, my Eastwind jacket. I know it is now March, and this is like a wintertime jacket because it's a mohair with a Jacob's wool together. So I have no feelings that I will be wearing it this cold season. However, this has been bringing me a lot of fun the last couple of days. I've wanted to work on this. It's kind of what I worked on while my traveler was walking, and it's just been a lot of fun to work on. I think it's nice because every so many rows, you either have like this twist texture or the cable, so it kind of gives you something to work toward, which is kind of nice. It's definitely one that I had to focus a little bit more, so definitely not an out and about kind of project, but I've really been enjoying it. It's been on my needles for quite a while because I did start at the beginning of the new year. However, I've really been enjoying it. We'll see how the steaming goes. I'm kind of just accepting that this one is going to be a longer project. I mean, it's an oversized jacket. It's no longer cold out, but I have started it, so then hopefully come the next fall or next winter, I'm going to have it in my arsenal and it's going to be ready. So that I do enjoy, and I can just kind of work on it at whatever pace I want. So then I only have one more work in progress right now to show and talk about, and it's new to you. So this is my small fry scarf test knit that I'm testing for Samantha Guerin. I test knit for her quite a lot, and I love her stuff, and I saw this and I knew I wanted to make it. So this is where I'm at. So this is one of those cute, short, kind of tie around your neck kind of scarves, and I debated for quite a while what colors I was going to do. Put a poll on my Instagram and then decided on this, and this wasn't even one of the options. So this little stitch marker here is an owl from Simply Serving. This is where I was when we went to dinner last night, and that was how much I got done. And yeah, I am loving this. So I am working it in this skein. This is Patagonia Organic Merino in this orange color. Oh, here's the tag. Patagonia Organic Merino. It's a woolen spun sport weight yarn. This pattern is written for a sport weight. This is the color Cinnamon, and I got this from yarn.com. I ended up having two skeins of this because I knit a KAL for my Secret Santa. I think it was 2 years ago, if you remember, 2 Christmases ago. And I had another skein left over. So I debated on doing a fingering weight with a mohair for this scarf. Had tried it out, wasn't 100% in love with the combination. So then I looked and I was like, oh, I should do this color. So I've really been enjoying this. It's a really nice, it's similar to my For Keeps cardigan where it is a rib-like looking texture. However, to make it, you're not purling at all. It's only like a knit and slip pattern to make this texture. It's going to be reversible. And yeah, I'm almost at I have a few more repeats until I can start decreasing. But yeah, I really enjoy it. The woolen spun is really nice and airy and light and squishy. And it's just been a fun project. I've kind of memorized the pattern at this point. I do use my row counter app because you have increases every so many rounds. And to be honest, I can't really read where to do the increases, so I just use my row counter to help me with that. And yeah, I think this will be really cute. I've wanted to try one of those short, you know, Sophie scarf kind of scarves, these really short scarves. And I think it'll be really nice. I think this will be a nice spring accessory as days warm up. Yeah, and I really like the color. I think the color is very fitting. So that's, I don't have much to say about it. I'm using a US 3 needle. It's really easy. I really like it. It's very meditative. I will say I do think sometimes my yarn is a little sticky, but I think that's the yarn, not necessarily a pattern. It's just sometimes when I go to slip, it feels a little snug. But I think that is the yarn. but I've really been enjoying this. It's living in one of my beautiful sister over the arm bags. And like I said, I took it to dinner last night because I could just have my phone out to let me know when to do the increases, and we enjoyed our dinner and I was able to work on it. So this is a nice project that can be kind of on the go. It's smaller. It's not stockinette because I took that because I didn't have any stocks or a Musselburgh on the needles, but I enjoyed working on that. It is one where I have to look at my knitting and make sure I'm not making any mistakes, but it was nice to take and easy enough to work on when I was out and about. So this test knit is due later in the month of March, so I think it'll either be out late March, early April. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe editing Kristen will put the date on the screen if it's been announced. I'm not sure if I know yet, but it will be done. I think I'll have to have it done by the next episode, or at least very close. So yeah, that's my last work in progress. Like I said, I don't have many. I do still have my Attune shawl, but as I mentioned, I'm just letting that hibernate right now. I don't want to work on it. I'm letting it rest. I'll come back to it when I'm ready. But otherwise, I'm feeling really good about the amount of projects I have. It's kind of nice to only have a few. It's kind of weird. I've been really feeling some cast-on-itis. I really want to start another sweater, even though I know that's ludicrous. I have 2 sweaters on the needles. I think it's just because the Eastwind feels more like I'll finish it and then not be able to wear it. But that's okay. And because I've been wanting something stockinette, I'm like, oh, I can just start a raglan sweater and just have that as just a plain raglan. But I really should just start socks or a Musselburgh because those are easy, super mindless. I don't have to swatch. And yeah, I think that is what I'm going to end up doing today. But I do have one acquisition to show you. This is my Nest Fiber Club for the month of February. So I believe you should have it, but this is what it looks like. Let me take it out of the plastic. So as I mentioned, this is the Nest Fiber Club for the month of February. This is the color Hanami. It's like a green, yellow with pinks. It's cute. I'm not sure about the red and the pink, but I really like the greens. So this is 100% Polworth this month. And I believe I saw Salty Blonde spin hers up, and I really liked how it spun up, so I'm very excited to try this. I will say I did start spinning that braid that I showed last time, my Corriedale, and now I've sprained my foot. And with my treadle, I can't really treadle with my sprained ankle. So I have been debating on moving that spin to my e-spinner because then I wouldn't have to treadle. I kind of miss my spinning because I've been spinning every night listening to an audiobook. I've been listening to the A Court of books. I'm on book 3. And so I've been listening to those before bed and I would spin, but now with my ankle I can't spin. But maybe I'll transfer it over to my e-spinner. The problem that I was having is I already started on my Lindrum. And so I don't know if I should transfer that over to a bobbin for my e-spinner or just continue on the e-spinner, and then when I go to ply, just know that I'll have to do a join because I split it in half and I already spun part of it. So my halves would be off. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm just thinking out loud now. I just want to keep spinning, and I want to spin that one. This Polworth actually feels really nice though. It's really nice and I could just nap on it. Anyway, those are all my works in progress, all my finished objects. And yeah, I'm just trying to stay focused on the projects. I have some ideas from new projects that I want to work on. However, I'm really excited to get started on my Traveler this afternoon now that I can, now that's off the blocking needles, and either start a pair of socks or another Musselburgh hat. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you got some progress done. I hope you put a little bit of love into every stitch of your making today. And just thank you for hanging out with me. Please feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel, and it's a free way to help support the channel. And then, as always, if you'd like to support me on Ko-Fi, I really appreciate those as well. And thank you to all my Ko-Fi members that help support this little corner of the internet. I love all of you guys. I love you just for spending a little bit of time with me. That is honestly one of the best gifts you could give a person. It's just committed time. So thank you. I hope you got some making done. I hope I was able to keep you company, and I'll see you guys again in a couple weeks. Happy knitting.